All right, so Helene, right, Helene. Hurricane Helene. It's like we hear about a hurricane every other week now, but Helene, she was different.
Yeah, she really was one for the books.
A Category 4 storm, that's like, what, 130-mile-per-hour winds, vanishes practically overnight?
Like a ghost.
Exactly. So, like, what's the deal with that? What's going on there?
Well, and that's what we're going to unpack today because it's a pretty important question.
Hmm.
What we saw with Helene, that rapid intensification and then weakening, it's like almost like a warning sign, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So let's dive right in. We've got the CBS News piece here. Really paints a picture of Helene's path of destruction, right? Slams into Florida's Big Bend as a Category 4, and then poof, gone. You said rapid intensification. What does that actually mean?
So rapid intensification, this is the thing that keeps hurricane scientists up at night, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, it means the storm went from like 0 to 60 in a matter of hours. Packs on this incredible power super fast.
And that makes it harder to predict then, right?
Oh, absolutely. But
Yeah.
by the time you realize how strong it's gotten, it might be too late.
And that's terrifying if you're in its path, which over 2.8 million people were. The article says Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, all without power. Can you imagine? No lights, no internet, can't even charge your phone. And this is after it weakened.
And that's the thing, right? You think weakening's a good thing, and it can be, for wind damage at least. But all that rain, it's got to go somewhere. It comes down so much faster.
So worse flooding.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, think of it like a faucet, right? Turning it on full blast versus a steady drizzle. Way more likely to cause problems.
Makes sense. And, speaking of vulnerable areas, the article, it mentions the Forgotten Coast. This stretch of Florida, it's all like natural beauty, not a lot of big hotels or anything. Why do you think this region, why was it hit so hard?
That's a great question. A lot of these less commercially developed places, they just don't have the same infrastructure as, like, a big city. Seawalls, drainage systems, things like that can really make a difference.
So they're just more exposed.
Basically, yeah, more vulnerable. And then you've got people like Annie Sloan. The article mentions her. She rode the whole thing out in a shelter in Tallahassee, said she didn't want to be alone after her husband passed away. Just heartbreaking. And the thing is, it's like, Helene, she wasn't alone, right? Like, the article said this was, what, the 4th hurricane to hit the Gulf Coast just this year.
Yeah, and that's only happened 5 other times that we know of, ever.
It's getting kind of hard to ignore, All these storms, stronger than ever. Makes you wonder.
Well, and it's not just you. It's not your imagination, let's put it that way. The data backs it up, and this is where we get to that whole jet fuel thing the article mentioned.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ocean temperatures. They're way up, especially in the Gulf of Mexico. Think of it like warmer water, more energy, right? That energy, it supercharges hurricanes. Like, that's what happened with Helene then, that insane jump from a Cat 4 to, like, nothing.
It's a big piece of the puzzle. And we've got those tweets here from, what was his name? Brian McNulty, hurricane scientist guy. His charts, they show it so clearly. The Gulf is like a hot tub right now.
Seriously, like off the charts.
And this is where it gets really interesting and honestly kind of scary. Climate Central, they say it straight up. This isn't random. It's us. Climate change. Every bit of carbon we're pumping out there, it's like we're making these megastorms ourselves, you know what I mean?
So it's not just about Helene, it's bigger than that, isn't it? It's like the whole system is changing. What does that even mean then for people living on the coast, especially in those areas that don't have a ton of resources like we were saying?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And the answer is, well, it's not good. The more we look at it, the more we realize how serious it is. I mean, imagine more storms, stronger storms, hitting the same places over and over. Those communities barely have time to recover before they're hit again.
It's almost like we know it's coming, right? Like, we see what's happening, but what are we supposed to do? Just, like, brace ourselves and clean up the mess afterward?
Well, I wouldn't say it's hopeless. I mean, we can't just throw our hands up there. But, yeah, the longer we wait to actually deal with climate change, the worse it's going to get. That's the bad news. Good news is it's not too late. Not yet, anyway.
Okay, so not hopeless. Got it. So then what do we do? Where do we even start?
Well, it's a lot of things, honestly. Like, on a big picture level, we got to cut down on that carbon, right, the greenhouse gases. That means switching to cleaner energy sources, rethinking how we get around it, all that.
So, like, individual stuff matters. Driving less, using less energy.
Oh, for sure. Every bit helps. But, like, we need the big players, too,
Yeah.
Governments, corporations, they got to step up. We need those big policy changes, carbon pricing, investing in infrastructure that can actually handle these superstorms, stronger seawalls, better drainage, that kind of stuff.
It's just only, and it felt different, like a real wake-up call. There's pictures of the flooding, the people who lost their homes. It all feels so real now. This isn't some far-off problem anymore.
No, it's here. It's happening. But that also means we can start making changes now. And those changes, they can be good. Investing in renewable energy, that creates jobs. Building resilient infrastructure, well, that keeps people safe. There's opportunity here, too, right? It's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, okay. I see what you mean. So it's like
Yeah.
what happens in the Gulf doesn't stay in the Gulf. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Climate change, it affects everyone, everywhere. We're all connected. And that means we've got to work together to fix it. The more we talk about it, the more we learn, the better prepared we'll be for the
Yeah.
challenges and for the opportunities.
Wow. Okay. So, so much for just another hurricane, huh? Helene might be gone, but she definitely left us with a lot to think about.
She did.
It's like we said, warmer oceans, angrier storms. It's the new reality. But like you said, we don't have to just sit here and take it. We can do something about it. So to everyone listening, do your research, learn more about this stuff. It's not just science, it's our future. And hey, maybe, just maybe, talking about it like we did today, that's a good place to start. You can find links to all the articles we talked about in the show notes. Until next time, stay curious, everybody.